Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been accused of mortgage fraud.
New York Attorney General Letitia James' office is blasting a federal criminal referral, potentially targeting the AG. The Department of Justice is being asked to investigate after the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency claimed that James falsified records for home loans in Virginia. The referral says James listed a Virginia property as her principal residence in 2023, despite holding office in New York. Federal officials also say James misrepresented the number of units at a Brooklyn property and previously listed her father as a spouse for more favorable loans. A spokesperson for James released a statement reading, "Attorney General James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are." Joining us for a closer look at the referral is legal expert Nicole Brunecki. Nicole, thank you for joining us. This referral comes after James launched a civil fraud trial into the Trump Organization. Do you anticipate action from the DOJ, including criminal charges?
Good afternoon, Sydney. Thank you for having me. I think we all remember the big, bold civil fraud case that she brought against Trump and prevailed. And she has built her entire career on exposing deception. So right now, it's a very problematic situation for her because she's being accused of the same act that she accused Trump of. And I think there is a high probability that they will go after her. Civil fraud is when you sign a declaration or make any statement to obtain some favorable outcome, some benefits of any type. So in this particular case, it would be more favorable mortgage terms. If that is proved, then that constitutes civil fraud.
So the referral mentions other mortgage fraud cases involving public figures in other parts of the country. Does that precedent hold any weight?
Precedents hold weight in terms of federal law. So if this is prosecuted as a federal act and these prior acts were also federal, then it definitely holds a precedent because it pertains to the same statutes.
Now, some of the allegations are decades old. Are there any statute of limitations on mortgage fraud cases?
Yes, there are statutes of limitations on all types of fraud cases because time passes and witnesses disappear, documents disappear, and memories wane. So there is a statute of limitation. I think that is why that last instance where she allegedly declared her husband, her father, her husband, that was mentioned the last in the letter because it's just, I think, inflammatory at this point because it was so long ago.
Okay, Nicole Brunecki, thank you so much for your insight. Stay with CBS News New York for the very latest as this story continues to develop. We have a reporter digging into the details, and we'll bring you the latest today starting at 5 or on our website, cbsnewyork.com.
Now, according to reports, New York Attorney General Letitia James is being accused of mortgage fraud by the U.S. Attorney's Office and is being referred to the U.S. Attorney General in connection with a possible case of mortgage fraud that would be prosecuted by the Attorney General and the federal courts. Now, according to these reports, there are allegations that New York Attorney General Letitia James falsified records to obtain a mortgage and did this in 2023, also did it in 1983 and 2000. Now, according to these reports, they are saying that New York Attorney General Letitia James said on a mortgage application in 2023 that Norfolk, Virginia was her primary address, even though being the New York Attorney General required her to have a New York residence. And they're also making the allegation that New York Attorney General Letitia James went out here and falsely stated that she said a number of units in a Brooklyn property that she owned had 4 units and not 5. And she also is accused of purchasing another property with her father as a co-signer, but it listed them as husband and wife in 1983 and 2000. Now, what's happening here to New York Attorney General Letitia James is what happens when a black bootlick goes out here and makes a deal with white supremacy. What's happening here is that whenever a black bootlick goes out here and looks to do the dirty work of white supremacy, what they do is go out here and look to break that tool. Now, New York Attorney General Letitia James was a tool that the left side of white supremacy went out here to use to go out here and participate in a case against presidential candidate Donald Trump in 2024, where she went out here and sued Donald Trump for falsifying and inflating the value of his property, which led to him being forced to pay $454 million in a civil fraud judgment. And New York Attorney General Letitia James was really riding high as related to getting that verdict in the blue state of New York, but what she couldn't see is how the subtle politics were transpiring around her as related to the whole system of white supremacy. Because in this system of white supremacy, oftentimes they go out here and play a game of chess. And if you don't really watch where you are with white supremacy when you're a black bootlick, you won't see how you're a pawn on the board. And New York Attorney General Letitia James was a pawn on the board as related to the left side of white supremacy, looking to try to eliminate Donald Trump off the board of their political system. And basically, what they were looking to do with Letitia James was use her to go out here and prosecute this case against Donald Trump. Look to prosecute this case against Donald Trump so that they could go out here and again put a black face in front of things. However, if they were looking to put black people in front of things like they were in the case of Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, and Fani Willis, what's happening here is that the system of white supremacy is not really taking this whole case very seriously. And they didn't take the case against Donald Trump very seriously when they had Letitia James, this black female bootlick, go out here and make this case. But Letitia James thought that she was going to be able to use this case as a springboard to take herself into the governor's office, not seeing that the white supremacist was already 7 steps ahead of her. And one of the reasons why they chose Letitia James is because they knew that they could go out here and get leverage on her and get that leverage on her to gain an advantage to basically deal with her at the end of everything. Because when it comes to the white supremacist only chooses those black bootlicks that they can get in front of. Those are the ones that they allow to have success in their system, and they allow those people to have success in their system because they know they can take those people out because they know that they won't be a threat to them, and basically use these people as their tools to go out here and do their dirty work. And once their dirty work is done, they can go out here and break that tool with the very same rules that they used to go after the individual they were going for. And that's what's happening here with Letitia James. She is basically reaping what she sowed, later than what she sowed, greater than what she sowed, as she was sitting here going out here looking to participate in this case at prosecuting Donald Trump for falsely inflating the value of his property. She couldn't see that the white supremacists basically had the same case against her, and now she's reaping a bitter harvest for making a compromise with the system of white supremacy. She's basically again paying the price for going out here and making that deal with white supremacy. And now she's about to lose big because there are possible speculations that she could be charged with several federal charges and could be on her way to federal prison herself. Now, what I really find interesting about the entire case regarding Letitia James is that when it came down to all of those preemptive pardons that Joe Biden was going out here and providing to people like Anthony Fauci, he never went out here and provided any sort of pardons for any of the black prosecutors who went after Donald Trump. No, there were no preemptive pardons for Letitia James. There were no preemptive pardons for Alvin Bragg. There were no preemptive pardons for Fani Willis. And all 3 of these bootlick stooges have seemed to have been omitted from that whole case. And as they've been omitted from that whole case, we see how these three black bootlicks have turned into three stooges who could not see something Professor Black Truth has presented in many of his videos, which is white supremacy taking both sides of the argument and taking both sides of the argument because neither side is on black people's side, and that's what Letitia James is learning right now as she gets her ninja moment. As she gets her ninja moment, she's learning that Joe Biden really wasn't looking out for her. No, they would send her out here to go out here and participate in this whole case against Donald Trump here in New York and send Fannie Willis to do it in Atlanta and send Alvin Bragg to do it in Manhattan, sent all three of these stooges to go out here and do their dirty work. And now that their work is basically done, again, Joe Biden is now retired and is out here chilling, watching them have to deal with all of this. And again, all of this basically proves another axiom Professor Black Truth has presented in many of his videos. Bootlick is a job without a retirement plan, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the left side of white supremacy or the right side of white supremacy. Both sides come together to be anti-black at the end of the day. They both come together at the end of the day to go out here and look to deal with a black bootlick. And again, many of these black bootlicks sat there as these cases were going on, thinking that they were going to be able to elevate their careers, but couldn't see, again, the subtle politics transpiring around them. And since they couldn't see the subtle politics transpiring around them, they couldn't see that they were basically being chosen to be sacrificed as cannon fodder, in this whole political struggle of the left and the right side of white supremacy. Because again, when it comes to both sides, both the red and the blue are anti-black, but you couldn't tell that to Letitia James, who really couldn't see the reason why they picked her is because they knew they already had something on her. And well, she was able to go along for a long time because this woman has been going since 1983, and nobody ever thought about bringing this up in all of her campaigns because Letitia James has been in politics for years. I just find it interesting. Nobody brought this up back in the times when she was out here being a prosecutor and working her way up to attorney general. There were multiple elections where many in the blue party could have said something. Moreover, Joe Biden could have provided her some protection as related to this whole situation. But all those people in the blue party being silent, again, is their form of passive-aggressive anti-black racism, in passive in that they allowed her to go out here and be able to run for office for so many years, and then aggressively what they did was walk away and left her out in the lurch, without providing her with that same preemptive pardon that they gave Anthony Fauci and many of these other white people, and showed how little value those black bootlicks had as related to doing the dirty work of the system of white supremacy. It showed how little value that they had. Again, I remember the Black Authority talking about the whole situation as related to this on Twitter. I mean, the Black Authority talked about this and told us all that it was very interesting that Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, and Fannie Willis were not provided any pardons by the Biden administration. And many of these same, again, people who are all in the black community thinking, oh, the blue party looks out for black people. No, what they do is, again, like the red side, they have no use for black people outside of being tools. And once white supremacy is finished with a tool, it always breaks a tool. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of people will think that it's about a Donald Trump vendetta, and maybe it possibly is to some people, but to me, this was all established in the last days of the Biden administration. And in the last days of the Biden administration, we see why Joe Biden lost. He lost because he wouldn't go out here and look out to help out the base of the blue party, which is black people. And since he did, and what he's doing right now is, again, showing us why he and Kamala Harris lost, because they didn't look out for the base of black people, and they didn't even look out for the base of their bootlicks. That's what would have happened. That's what's happening right now to Letitia James. She's finding out that when it comes down to the Blue Party was anti-black, and anti-black because they didn't even look out for the bootlicks who did their dirty work. No, they basically gave all the white people pardons and looked to, again, make them above the law, but didn't want to make black people on the same standard, and didn't want to, again, give that same standard to black people. It's just like what's happening here with Eric Adams, the cream of wheat, man. They went up, yes, they did drop the charges, but they left him, again, out here to be dealing with an ignominious situation where he will end in humiliation, the same way Letitia James is ending in humiliation, because Eric Adams thinks he can run as an independent, and in a city that's mostly blue. And again, that was the Trump administration's way of sending Eric Adams on his way to fail. Again, when it comes to both sides of white supremacy, I'll repeat it once more, they're both anti-black, and since they're both anti-black, they're not looking out for black people, and that's the thing that many bootlicks don't understand, because many bootlicks in and of themselves, they may have educations, but they are not very smart. They're not good critical thinkers. No, many of these bootlicks, again, they're looking for attention from white people. They're spellbound and mesmerized by white people, and they think that if they go out here and do what the white supremacist wants, the white supremacist will give them favor in a covert contract. But the only thing that the white supremacist wants to do with the black bootlick is, again, use them to be disposable fodder that once they're finished with them, they basically, again, toss them into the trash after they've broken them. And once they've broken them, they've got no use for them. And that's what Letitia James is finding out. It doesn't matter what prominent position you have in the system of white supremacy. If you're a black person, they've got no use for you as related to their system. And once they're finished with you, you're basically done. And that's what's happening here with Letitia James. She's basically finding out that as on this political chessboard, she's gone from being someone who's collecting a check to someone who's going to be completely checkmated. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. Now, if you'd like to see me make more videos taking bootlicks to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this all-new Spinsterella story. Pre-order your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Esteem Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA, from the Black Boule, in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.